The 2025 Major League season has kicked off, and the Pelotero team went to Arlington, Texas to see the Red Sox play the Rangers for opening day. While in town, we met up with Boston hitting coach Pete Fatse to have a discussion about hitting. Pelotero has recently introduced our Plate Intelligence game tracking tool, available to all subscribers, which asks important questions about pitch recognition, swing decisions, timing, and accuracy. It was really fun to sit down with Pete to talk about how he breaks down the game and how he pays attention to all things that matter for performance at the Major League level. Chris, Pete, and myself have known each other for at least 15 years now, and Pete is an inner circle guy. The group text is active. Big shout out to Pete for meeting with us. We hope you enjoy the conversation.
What percentage of your job is mechanics versus approach versus emotion? And feel free to add other categories.
What
As a Major League hitting coach,
I think
percentage mechanics.
Yeah, I think you always have to be aware where the guys are at. I think saying 50% is kind of a cop-out, but I think what we try to do is establish kind of baseline, a baseline kind of template for what the swing should be, and we're always kind of working from that template. And if we see deviations, then we interject. I'd like to think we're not necessarily rebuilding swings during the season, but more retooling, refining. But on a daily basis, once you get to the ballpark for us, there's a part of your routine that is geared towards getting your mechanics in a place where you feel confident in your swing. But ultimately, we're trying to gear it towards what we're trying to accomplish that night. So I would say, like, on a game day, my intention would be 70 to 80% is trying to focus on execution.
How much, so in like early work, every hitter has tendencies.
Yep.
So drill work is really shaping matchup for that. So let's say a pitcher's riding or a pitcher's sinking, and a guy's swing maybe struggles on the ride or struggles on the sink. So you're creating that environment.
100%. So I think that like we were talking about earlier, there's a portion of everybody's routine that is geared to them. There are things that guys share. We spend a lot of time with angles, trying to basically work open and closed quite a bit. And obviously that'll shape based on what we're anticipating that night. And then our machine progressions, it'll kind of just be featured off whatever pitch we're really trying to exploit, whether it's a cutter, four seam, sinker, as you had mentioned. And we're trying to get guys around the mindset of the swing that they need, to attack it that night.
So we were watching NCAA stuff last night. We were talking about college basketball roster versus NBA and how such a talent gap.
Yeah.
How NBA players could basically you find the matchup you want every single time down the court and you exploit it.
Yeah.
From a hitting standpoint, you guys are isolating the pitch that you want to hit that night. Is it per player?
Yeah,
per pitcher? Is it like a global, this is the pitch we're trying to work towards?
I think a lot of times, right, hitters or pitchers, I should say, there's something that they feel confident in if they need to execute, like we'll call it a safety pitch or a location, or they want to execute early in the count pre-2K. And then there's typically a pitch, right, mostly spin or secondary offering that they like with two strikes. Yeah. So for me, it's how do we put ourselves in position pre-2K to be on time for the fastball, attack a mistake, whether that's something working into us as lefties, for an example, like a cutter breaking ball that tugged four seam, something that we can get the barrel to. And then with two strikes, how do we put our fastball in the position to manage the secondary offering, because it's all about eliminating chase. So it's usually based around that conversation. And the majority of the day, we're putting ourselves in the mindset of hunting pre-2K, or dominating pre-2K.
Love that. So in terms of eliminating chase, swing decisions are a huge deal.
Yeah.
I'm curious about, one of my favorite things to ask Major League players is how they see the ball.
Yeah.
Like, is there maybe like a guy hits an all-star Hall of Fame pitcher well, but they don't know why necessarily. So the pitch recognition, certain guys you see well. How do you guys prepare for seeing the ball and the pitch recognition? You guys have all the data.
Yeah.
We were talking last night about you went into a game cold recently, and you had to watch the guy warm up, and like, what's he doing with his glove? He's telling you the pitches. What do you guys do? You guys have traject.
Oh, yeah.
What do you guys do from a pitch recognition standpoint, or maybe even like how to use your eyes? Is there any, like, what kind of conversations exist around vision, eyes, pitch recognition?
So a lot of it, especially when we're on the road, because we're limited with what we have to travel. I mean, a lot of it's video related, honestly. Like, once we have the data and guys can kind of create a visual to the shape, a lot of it's just watching the shape over and over. And I think there's two things, right? One is the swings that you watch tell you a lot about the pitch. So like when you're studying guys, like how guys are missing. Is this guy constantly missing over barrel, under barrel, in on the hands? Guys are constantly late. Use Joe Ryan for an example. Not only does he have the low slot up shoot at like 92, but he has funk in his delivery where it's an extremely late handbrake. So if your timing is off handbrake, you're going to be really late because he's already down the mound, super fast, mobile guy. So it's you kind of watch the swings and it tells you a story, and then you kind of have to, using the data and conversation with your teammates who have seen it before, like I think you paint a pretty good picture. But I think like it depends on what element of swing decisions. Like for a lot of guys, it's timing related in the cage, like putting yourself in a position early so that you can see.
That's more like more gather.
Yeah, more gather things that we can control prior to pitch release, right? In a sense, like setups, gathers, timings, tempos from there. And then we'll do, so that's like a portion of kind of swing decision on a daily basis. Another is like just calling attention to the zone locations you want. I carry around this like mini 3-ball plate with a money sign on it, and we have guys basically shift it where they want the ball relative to what drill they're doing. So it's super simple. We did it with like 3 balls, or, you put a baseball on home plate, whatever. It's just drawing attention to the area you're looking to cover, and then it's like, how do I funnel the shapes to the area that I want?
Yeah. How much attention is paid to arm slot and arm angle?
Tons.
Baseball Savant.
Tons.
And pitch profile, like they release. So looking for release points. Are you studying maybe a guy's curveball releases
100%.
higher, or he gets under his changeup, things like that?
Yeah, we have tons of information on that relative to release. Some guys too. I mean, like we had a guy in camp, Robert Stock, that would move on the rubber. Like, so if there's any tendency,
you would go side to side.
Side to side. Yeah. And, I think that's a very simple way on the pitching side to kind of leverage your mix. Like if your mix is what it is, or you're having trouble maybe creating a certain action that you want, like moving on the rubber, changing your slot is it's a way for you to create an added element of deception, but it's something that like we're able to pick up with data. It's not just sitting there and watching video now, right?
You think we give pitchers too much credit sometimes?
For sure. I think like at the end of the day, like pitchers make mistakes. Now in the big leagues, they make less mistakes, but they still make mistakes. So I think if you put yourself in a position, for me, just to be on time with the fastball, like where you want the fastball pre-2K, there's a good shot over the course of 2-3 bats you get a mistake.
I was watching like all the condensed games last night.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched the Cubs play too. Want to watch Matty play, and I have a hard time with this because I'm not trying to be like the old salty guy, but like I think about I am right. I think I earned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of miss, dude. Like there's just a lot of miss. Now, let me tell you something. I wouldn't want to face Garrett Crochet on my best day of my career. We were talking about his tempo, his rhythm, how he messes with everything. But in those situations, like I was talking to somebody yesterday about, my only objective against Garrett Crochet is I'm probably going to get 3 swings off. And like you'd be damned if I'm taking a heater for a strike. Like I'm just not taking a fastball for a strike. Yeah. So I think simplifying your approach to that sometimes, especially on days when guys are like missing, because I was watching these highlights and I'm like, what percentage of pitches do you think guys actually hit their location that they're trying to throw to?
Well, I think the average miss off intended target's like 8 to 12 inches, like on average, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, right? Relative to intended location, an 8-inch miss. Yeah. That's that's almost a glove length either way. So you're talking about a pretty decent amount of space. I think to your point, like with like Garrett and I think hitting also, as much as, yeah, you're right, this stuff is really good. There's elite stuff. Obviously it seems like there's obviously a big shift for prioritizing damage and impacting the baseball because the run scoring environments become challenging, especially as the stuff goes up. But I think it comes down to calculated, like I say, calculated, you're making calculated error. So it's, how am I comfortable missing against Garrett Crochet? If I'm going to beat his fastball cutter to the spot, I have to be pretty good about trying to lay off the changeup or anything working arm side. But if I swing over the top of something working close to me, that's my calculated error. Like I am intentionally going to miss that way because it sets myself up for a mistake. And against Garrett, like if you get a mistake, you have a shot, but his stuff's still nasty, right? So
he's like effectively.
It's the release, it's the funk. I mean, he's super talented, but it's like I'm just in general guys like that. You have to have calculated error. I mean, a guy like Chris Martin, right? Like we know he loves to pitch off the cutter. He's got 3 tilts on his fastball, but it's like if you sit in there and try and go left center on him as a righty, it's really hard. I mean, he makes a living on guys off the end of the bat, so you have to stay true to the big part of the field. Center, right center has to be your line. And if he throws you the splitter and it's a mistake, you got a shot to hit it.
No. Chris Martin, I was telling them, I said he was one of my most uncomfortable at bats in minor leagues. I was actually shocked that he didn't establish himself in the big leagues sooner.
Really
I thought he was a really, really good pitcher, and this is like 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
For the record, Chris just gave that pitcher credit.
It's true. But you know who the people that I give it to. Like they're like, count them on two hands, right? But no, the point of like, so against, I think there are times, right? Like Felix was really good when I was at like prime Felix, and he was such a strike thrower. And I think that there's a way to like kind of simplify at times too, like for guys. Felix was such a strike thrower that I went into it. I was like just get 3 swings off, right? Like, and I think the simplification of it for that like allowed me to not overthink it at times. And I feel like sometimes now young hitters, it seems like are so in tune with what's happening that like maybe sometimes like they're hesitant or don't pull the trigger because of it. Would you rather see a hitter who's aggressive like throughout a game or depending on their profile, or do you want guys like, is there more of like this mantra of like, you mentioned the money zone, but like would you rather see guys that are like isolating their zone, or like?
I think there's like an element of know yourself, know your opposition, right? Like I want young guys to stick to their strengths, because like everybody in the league is going to attack your weaknesses right away. You have to appreciate and like understand those, but I think like if you're a guy that likes the ball close, like, all right, how do we maximize the matchup to get a ball close? And how do we set your day up so that you're prioritizing that? If you want to sit on a breaking ball today because we feel like that's probably the best leverage and you're going to see it, like how do we set yourself up for success there? I think the other thing too is in a general, like getting an understanding of how teams pitch. Like there's some teams that are like pitchers stick to their strengths. Like they're going to attack you with their strengths the entire time, no matter what. But then there's other teams that prioritize the blues, and it's like, no, they're going to pitch to your weakness. You get a pretty clear understanding of that once you just kind of watch, you just kind of pay attention. And from there, that's where like our job really gets unique, because like when we're in the fight with them, like, hey man, remember we talked about the spin? Like he's going to the spin. Or like you watch how they throw the first 2 guys and you already have like a feeling of how it's going to go. And then obviously there's pivots that need to be made, but that's like the chess match in game. Like that's where paying attention. I know we always talk about good hitters pay attention. Like paying attention really matters. Even in the big leagues, with all the video and the technology, it's like super important to be on the rail. Yes, it's super important to be on the rail. And it's like you get a feel for the game that way.
That's it. That's the intuitive part of the game, right? That's the
for sure.
And I think the iPad takes that away a little bit, right? Like there's so much reflection on like
it can if you're looking at the wrong thing.
No, totally. Right? And I think there's a time and place for all of it, But the intuition part.
We have these signs. You're gonna love them in spring training. So we have our video room. It's a lot bigger than at Fenway, but we have these signs above the monitors that are: were you on time? Was it a good pitch? If so, here's the computer.
You're not allowed to.
It's just a little reality. Yeah, like a reality check. Like, were you on time? No.
Yeah.
So you get pitched. Then what are we looking at?
That's why I asked you earlier what percentage of your job is mechanics, because it is a piece of the formula.
100%.
It needs to be considered, but it's too often overemphasized.
100%. And you know what's interesting? It's like I think about, and this goes back to when I first met you, and obviously working through C's. Like, but good mechanics, the conversation is still rooted in timing. Right? That's really what we're talking about.
Yes.
Like good mechanics, the root of good mechanics is timing. So it's like if you're having a timing conversation, there's probably like, hey, maybe you're crashing, you're shooting off your backside, you're out racing, so like you're not seeing the ball well. Sure, there's like hey, how do we hold the backside? But the reality is it's putting you in a balanced position to attack the fastball. Or like when
having repeatable
mechanics
allows you to have consistent timing.
Yes.
And then when you look at the actual mechanics, does your swing take too long to get off? Do you have to game plan around your swing because you have holes?
Swing length variables.
Yeah, you can't get to certain zones. So you
100%.
You start keyholing yourself in terms of what you can compete against.
Yeah, 100%. But that was the one thing I remember when we first met in like 2009. Now I reflect on it in like 2009, 2010. Was like, as much as you guys were teaching me about the swing at that time, like I started to process it as it relates to timing, and that's when I was able to often run. I just saw things different.
Yeah, it's basically how you gather dictates how you swing in a lot of ways. So you mentioned setups earlier. I remember talking to guys about changing shoulder angles or they have now all the stand stay that's available now.
Cool.
Are we starting to shift? Maybe you're getting more closed. Maybe you're getting more open.
Yeah.
When are you able to extend your stride length on off-speed pitches?
Yeah.
Like
where is the adjustability?
I double tap into that instantly because it's like surface value. It's cool, interesting.
Yeah.
intriguing, and it's like I need to know more.
I also think there's got to be some resources relative to like catcher framing too, and like like positioning and being able to move up, move back. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there.
I have a question about third time through the order, and it's not necessarily about third time through the order, but there's tons and like a lot of teams won't allow pitchers to go third time through. With all the data that's available and all the pregame planning, if a guy has a really jumpy fastball, rides it, like lives there, use the term calculated miss, why does it still take 2 times through the order for that effectiveness? Is it just the pitcher loses stuff?
I think
Like,
there's
a way of asking this is like, as a coach, are you giving permission to players like, yeah, this guy rides his fastball.
you've seen it all.
Don't miss. You can't miss under. I'd rather you hit a ground ball.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like,
how's that like dialogue?
Greg actually had a really. We were talking about this in the dugout the other day, and it's like, you know, guy goes through the first at bat, like maybe it's the first 9, right? Like and it's like we have 3 or 4 underplane misses, you know, a couple punchies, and it's like we're like your second time through, the refusal is we are not missing under the 4 seam. Now, if the game plan flips, right, but those are the, you know, like that's kind of the gamble. It's like, hey, we are not going to miss below the 4 seam fastball, and if he flips, great, throw us a breaking ball. It's not the fastball, so we're in a better position anyways. But it's the willingness to like make that adjustment. And I think by the third time, it's more of a familiarity than anything else. Like I'm sure there's a drop and stuff, but I think it's just the amount of times that you see. You know, you think about your third at bat off a guy, it's like you already have a pretty good idea of like, all right, this feels like this feels like this. I've seen this. And really it comes down to like, you know, the leverage at that point in the game.
But you still, it's as much as technology is there and it's amazing, it's still not the same as standing in the box
100%.
with 40,000 people, with emotions, with...
The emotional piece is very real. The emotional piece is like probably the realest thing that sometimes doesn't get talked about. Is like
Never
the moment.
gets talked about.
Well, I'm just saying, like it's I think we're fortunate. We're fortunate to have like resources that help our guys work through it. But it's like and it's not just like it's the emotions. It's like how fast that moment happens. Like guy comes in the game second and third, or guy on first base, 2 outs. Guy hits a ball in the gap, second and third. You're walking up with 2 outs. Pitching change, 8 pitches. Let's go. Pitch clock. You're like, I have to have like the cue before, you know what I mean? It's like things happen quick and you have to be able to take it and just like slow it down.
It's really easy to overlook the emotional part because the emotional part is so personal to the individual, right?
Yeah.
So 8 billion people don't feel the emotion you're feeling in any given moment, right?
Yeah.
Whether the stresses and things like that. I was going to bring something up that like, I think the truest form of like hitting ownership happens when you can take all those things and then just push them to the side, right? Like whether it's the emotion, a stride change, the mindset of being over a 4-seam ride fastball. The comment I was going to make is like, when you watch really, really good hitters, in my opinion, they're taking 3 at-bats with the other guys on the team. Like they understand the profile of the hitter in front of them. Like,
yeah.
My example would be like if I played in your lineup, I would know how Jaron Duran handles ride fastballs and sink. And I'm using Jaron as an example because you're a leadoff hitter, but like I would use that information now at this point in my life to judge how I was going to hit off a guy. Like people would ask me all the time, does this guy throw hard? I was like, I'll let you know after I swing at the first fastball.
Well,
the gun's not going to tell me.
I think that a lot of what you're saying too, like. Is really important now because of the tilts, right? Like everybody has multiple fastball tilts. It was like, I remember Michael King when he introduced the runner, or he had the 4 of the runner, and then he was working on, obviously had the breaking ball going left, but like when you create multiple tilts, it's another layer of like, you have to guess. Like it's just, it's an educated decision guess. And more often than not, sometimes it's situational, right? Runner on first base, 3-1 count, you're probably getting the one in on your hands. 2 strike count, you're probably getting the one that where the whiff is, like, but still
understanding what kind of out they want to get.
Exactly. Like,
do they need a strikeout?
Is it a punch? I'm going to go with my punch out location. If it's ball and play, like I'm going with the hard action on your hands and good luck. But it's like just understanding those things. And again, it goes back to watching the game. And I think tying a bow on that with like the emotional aspect is like, if you're paying attention and you allow yourself to get immersed in the game, you have a better chance of controlling your emotions. If you're surprised and you're locked up on things that are not going to be conducive to success, then things speed up on you. You know, it's like, man, I'm still thinking about the at-bat where I got a 2-0 cookie and I hit it to the warning track and didn't go out, and I'm still upset about that. And you haven't moved on 2 innings later. It's like, okay, now you're fighting uphill.
If you make the main objective win the baseball game every day, and you can get a room full of people that do that, and I think that's like the hardest thing to convey to the world right now, because and these are the things that all, like, I think the old school type guys that are kind of get pushed away, they've acknowledged those things and lived them and experienced them, and they say, you know, the best way to not get caught up in your own shit is make it about the team. And then the stresses and all the shit that we're talking about that is real, the mental health stuff, it's the stuff that I wish I could have gotten instilled in me when I was a kid, because I didn't know.
We also weren't as exposed as kids are now, people are now, right? Like, you can't, I mean, think about it. If you're a youth baseball player that's relatively good, like, you can't even go to a showcase without every single person in the country being able to tell you how good objectively that you are or not, right? And then it's comes down to who's being promoted via social media, and it becomes this whole thing. And it's like, you have to, I'm assuming, and obviously I have my own kids that are younger, you got to how do you build armor for that, to me, is the number one thing. Everybody else is going to tell you exactly what they think of you. How do you continue to believe in what you believe about yourself? Like, it's hard, but I think you have to be willing to, have conversations about it. And honestly, I think it brings it all back to, I mean, you talked about this book Pendulum a few years ago, and I think what we're talking about in a lot of ways is part of this pendulum shift that I believe is, it's not that data is extremely important. It's never going anywhere. Let's just be clear, right? Like, the information is only going to continue to get more specific and better, but the ability to apply the information now, and the relationship aspect, and being able to get inside somebody's mind and have a real conversation and build real, like, community around it, that's going to be really important.
We were talking about yesterday about pitch volume of, like, oh, he throws his fastball this percent of the time, slider this percent, two-seamer this, whatever the numbers are. And I was telling Patrick, I'm way more concerned about understanding when he's going to throw the curveball that he throws 39% of the time. When does he throw it 90% of the time?
Yeah.
Like, what is the sequence? What is he seeing in you as a hitter? How has he set you up? How is he doing that consistently?
Yeah.
That he's going to go to that pitch because he's decided based on what conditions have been created in real time, which is like paying attention, like understanding the patterns that lead to that decision.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's most fun to me.
It is.
Like, being prepared for that.
Yeah, that's the chess, right? It's like, you see a guy, you expose him on a breaking ball on the front side leaks. It's like, okay, what's he looking for? Like, or he's just a little bit too far on his front side. Or you get him in a 2-1 count, and a guy's late on a heater. It's like, sitting breaker. Okay, now I got to work. Like, it's
talking about Greg Maddox.
Well, yeah.
You're just talking about Greg Maddox. Like,
he might have been late because he just.
Yeah, he was late, or he was thinking about something else. That's right.
If you listen and watch Greg Maddox and Barry Bonds talk about hitting, that is the ultimate alpha battle to me, right? Like, because those guys are paying attention to everything that happens, making an interpretation off it. And I think I see the game the way I see the game, right? My eyes, my brain. Yeah. And it's hard for me to not think about the game like that. So I want everybody and their mother that's ever going to play or has played to perceive the game that way and see what it feels like to play that. Because I think that's where the joy in baseball comes from me.
That's the game. Yeah, a little. I got a little bit more. No problem.
Anyways, we are hanging.
This is hanging.
So I have a concept I used with Chris when he was playing. Call them, like, sacrificial at bats, and it's about players making adjustments and applying it in a game setting, overcorrecting to kind of recalibrate. We saw Shaw last night. There was a pitch that he hit sideways on. I don't know if he did it on purpose, but you could see there was a level of comfort that he wasn't jumpy. He didn't jump. He was jumpy, and then he hit a ball sideways, and he was like, "Oh, I'm okay." I would call Chris after a game and be like, just hit one ball to the right of second base. Just give me one, and it's going to calibrate you for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So when you're making changes, or if a guy's scuffling, what kind of conversations of, like, willingness to allow failure to happen, or even perceived failure, Like I hit a ball sideways, hit a ball in the dugout.
Hit a ball to the first baseman.
Where it's the struggle of applying a change in game and giving, maybe as a coach, giving the player permission or instilling in the player, it's okay to do this right now. You're allowed to take an at bat. And in big leagues, you got 600, 700 plate appearances. But like, what is that like? The dynamic of player coach, because you played too, and understanding with that. Like I know you still remember.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like, number one, hitting is hard. Like I put that, it's in my hat. It's like my little reminder to myself. Whenever you want to do something,
you literally have that in your hat.
You have it written.
In Major League hat, in the dugout.
Hitting is hard.
That's amazing.
Because I think that's like a very real part of the conversation, right? The second piece is
to make some T-shirts.
Hitting is hard, but it's not impossible.
Why not?
Oh yeah. I got so much of that for you, by the way. But like, it happens all the time. I think the first part is realizing like, number one, the first response is like trying anything or working on anything in the game. If they're coming to you with that feeling, like I think they're already willing to sacrifice it. It's the challenge is when maybe a guy doesn't see it and you have to pull it out of him. So like when a guy comes, he's like, Fats, man, I'm all over, like I'm way too far on my front side. Hey man, hit a backside line drive on the fastball. And typically it puts them on time. They hit something hard to the middle and off to the races, right? I think like Alex Bregman does a really good job of communicating this. Like he knows like when he's a little quick, like where his lines of sights need to quickly, and he's willing in his work to like have a calculated miss that's going to get me back to where I need to be so that I can do the thing that
most
everybody
misses are rooted in I'm early or I'm late. And
really what it comes down to. You're just playing on both sides of the spectrum, and it becomes like, okay, like right now I'm really early, so like let's shift it back to like deepening point of contact up or whatever to get you back to neutral. If I'm super late, typically it's setups and gathers. Like, are we in the right position when the ball's released? And then are we putting ourselves in position at contact? Like the space between that. On time twice. So that's another T-shirt, by the way. That's a sick T-shirt. But like it's usually rooted somewhere in there. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that in game. It's like, hey man, you got to start earlier. Like you have more space out in front. Or hey man, hit this ball. Like you said, backside line drive. Breaking ball's going to pop. Trust it. That's it. Yeah.
I think it's hard, especially with kids that are, if they're in high school, they're playing tournaments. There's pressure. There's college coaches there.
That's hard. But
that's when we go to games. When we see a kid that's early, and then they just keep being early and they just keep pressing. When that kid clearly, like you can see when a guy takes a pitch and it clicks.
Yep.
And they go, oh, I can relax. I don't need to.
Yeah.
I don't need to try so hard to force it. I need to let the.
You know what I'd be curious, and I've been out of this space for a long time, but like for me, the at-bats in the tournament setting would be like, I would be really interested in is like runners in scoring position. Like I want to see what you're willing to give up with runners in scoring position. Like, are you willing to let the ball get deep to get that guy? And you're probably gonna hit the ball hard, or are you constantly chasing impact to show that? And that's
Instagram video.
That's great. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the pull side homers. I love them. But like, what are you willing to do in that moment to get that guy in, or what's your thought process, your strategy to drive the run in? That's going to tell me a lot about.
You know what the craziest part about what we're talking about is, and the game. I had no concept of this as a young player. All people want to see is a dude who is in control of his at bat.
100%, Chris.
Like it just
100%.
Like when I think it, like we watched Ketel Marte last night. You coach Justin Turner, like. When I watch Justin Turner play, I'm like,
the best.
This guy's just so in control. So you don't care if he's hitting 100 or 400. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Does not matter. Just in control of his at-bats. And when you see those, and then you see, like, Willier was completely in control of his at-bats yesterday, and it turns into 3 for 3 with 2 pumps, right?
Like, the walk might have been the most impressive.
Exactly. Well, the funny part was, we were sitting there talking about it, and I go, he's 2 for 2. He gets his first one, his first at bat. You're already feeling sexy. Then you go bridge. Now you're 2 for 2. So you're feeling froggy. You're getting out of there with a good day no matter what. So now I'm like,
a good day. He's a
Swagasaurus in his third at bat.
Yeah, he's a
full Swagasaurus. I'm like,
Vixen a walk.
Yeah,
we're good.
Like
left on left, late.
But
left?
that's so like that. Like I'm watching his third. I'm like, he's feeling it. He's tasting himself right now, right? And then obviously you get like. talk about the game, like Trevor's at bat Trevor's at bat to me was the most impressive at bat of the game.
Yeah.
He hit the line drive before it slowed himself down. Like it was
100%.
all.
Found
And when you
center.
watch the game like that, you go,
Found center.
like Trevor Story had an at bat for the boys last night in the ninth, because it would have been very easy for him to press and try to go get one right there.
The other one for me, and talk about understanding your misses, but like look, Rafa's at bat was running out there listening too. Obviously an aggressive cat, but like his willingness with 2 strikes, he hit that sinker sideways.
Yeah.
So he could stay on the breaking ball, and then he gets his RBI. He almost gets a knock, but puts the ball in play hard just to the right of the shortstop. And it's like those are the little things that you see, and like, okay, like that was your calibration for the at bat. Understand the win. Yeah, we want to hit. Sure, great. You got the run in, and we put.
That's what makes offenses good, when people can do that.
But it's also, I think, and last part on that is like, but to be good, you have to talk about it and make it something that matters, right? So,
I very much think of hitting in terms of finding middle.
Yeah.
Where you can be over or under, and then like accuracy is tiny. Like you're over you can swing and miss as high as you can reach.
Yeah.
You can swing and miss, hit the bat, the ground is going to stop you, but the opportunity to miss over under is huge. On the sweet spot, you can get jammed, you can miss off the end, and then front to back with timing.
100%.
So you're trying to calibrate 3 ways every single pitch, and then you go pitch locations, add variations. You got guys shifting sides of the mounds.
Right.
It's a challenging. I love it because it's like when you play that game.
Yeah.
There's so much detail.
Yeah, it's exactly. And then it's, again, like how a hitter interprets those 3 dimensions is really important too, because some guys have different feels relative to like their swing shapes and how they generate speed. Like, and then it becomes like, okay, how do I get this guy to resonate with his top hand, and like what the barrel's doing at entry, and that's going to be different based on the guy, obviously. But
as a major league hitting coach, your front step, you have the best view of the best hitters on the planet.
No, he doesn't get to watch me.
right. I did though.
When you're watching guys work, when you're going out to BP, like, do you get on the field and you watch? What impresses you about the game's elite hitters?
Outside of like the obvious, I mean, there's a lot of guys that hit the ball really hard. I mean, you're talking about BP, right? It's like a lot of guys.
Some guys are like crazy.
No, some guys are crazy. Like Rafi yesterday, going almost to the second deck. Oppo was like, when you watch that, it's
second deck. Oppo is very different than a second.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's like different level of. The thing that I think is interesting, and again, it's hard to speak on like other players, right? But like, how the process manifests in what they're trying to do in the game, I think is really interesting. Like you watch a guy like the Soto story. I was weird in spring training. I'm watching him, and he's doing this down and away tee. I think it's on. I think someone actually posted a video, and this guy is just hammering low ball flight into the oppo, like side net, no higher than head. And I'm talking about he could have put a circle on the net, and it was whack, whack, whack. Then it was he has the breaking ball machine going. And it's right-handed spin coming into him, letting the ball get deep. Whack, left center, left center, left center. We go out for a stretch, and I'm like, dang, that was impressive for a lot of reasons, right? Because, like, this guy knows, like, I mean, his swing path characteristics and how does he have to get the ball to left field. Like, he's not laying it off. This guy's kind of closing the face down on it, hitting it hard that way. Then goes out to BP, and what's his first round? Whack, whack, shortstop, like these just rockets. And I think what's impressive to me is, like, consistency and being deliberate to that process. And like when you scale that over 162, the results are pretty crazy. Now he's able to do a lot of that because he's a physical, like he's a specimen and he's extremely talented. But like when you watch guys like that work, like JT's another good example. Like JT's a refusal to miss around the ball, like in his work. We're doing big breaking balls, or we're doing like, it is just a refusal to miss around the ball, like to the point where he will foul the ball off that way before he snaps the top hand or the bottom hand over to the pull side, like, and I feel like really good hitters are so like, like how they miss matters so much to them that their willingness to like just be consistent in that space. Like, I don't know how to better explain that. Like it's control. It's control. Like I know in Soto's first round, I'm sure he's going to hit 6 to 8 backside bullets, and if there's one that he comes across, it's to center. It's not going to be.
Imagine what would be pumping through his veins if he rolled over a ball on BP when he's trying to.
He'd probably step out.
Yeah.
He'd step out.
The boring.
Rafi does the same thing. He'd step out. You want to go, way of baseball, Sean Green, homers to center, right? Like staying true, showcasing the power of the big part of the field, center field, create your line, whatever. But I think it's a progression. Like, if you go into the cage and it's like your first thought is like, I'm just going left. If there's I'm going left, as opposed to like, hey, let me calibrate my contact points and point of timing. Let me calibrate the balls that I'm swinging at. Okay, check box 1, check box 2. Okay, big part of the field. Okay, pre-2K impact. Like you work your way.
Yeah.
To me, that's different than creating one. And one dimensionality works in both ways too, right? It's the same guy that's like just punching balls to the right side, maybe like overcommitting their hands and just being really steep and just shooting balls, just as it is overly getting to the pull side. So it's like,
in golf, they say first you slice, then you hook.
Yeah.
Or first you move the ball to right, then you move the ball left, then you get good.
Right.
Because then at that point you have control.
Yeah.
So like, you need to be able to control the inside part of the ball.
So that's where
The issue is when you go pull side and you're not controlling the inside part of the ball. Or the Chipper Jones he did the podcast with Pitching Ninja.
Yeah.
And he told a story about Barry Bonds, and he's like, he got 6 pitches to hit.
Yeah.
And he was 4 for 6 with 2 doubles and 4 homers. Like he just kept hitting the ball in the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's doing it when you're not going to get that pitch every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you're not cheating to it.
Well, the Barry Bonds, when he talked about his process that day, I can't remember who it was against, but it was like, it was San Diego, right? And he's like, it was a video that was just done, but he talked about like, he had, I forget, maybe it was the manager of bench coach throwing BP out over, and he's like, I want to hit homers to left, homers to left, homers to left, because I know he's going to live off of the runner. You throw a little bit of run, out over, and I mean, he ends up clipping one. I can't remember which one it was for, but he talked about his process. I think, like, to me, again, like, that's a really good understanding of what you're trying to do.
There's Tony Gwynn stories. There's Tony Gwynn stories like that, too, where there was like a rain delay, and he's like, he was up next. He's like, I'm going to hit a double to left center on the first pitch.
Yeah.
And he came out.
He
double left center on the first
Well, I think, like, and I think, like, at the end of the day, just kind of putting a bow on that stuff for me is, like, listening to really good hitters, observing really good hitters, like, can really help you connect the dots. Like, again, it may not always line up with how you see it or what you feel, but, like, that's where the information can be valuable for me, you know? And I think it's important to collect that information and, like, think about what it means. Just think about what it means and then decide how you want to interpret it. Yeah. But, like, that's how I view, like, anytime I get to talk to good hitters.
But so
You talk to
how many hitters have you worked with that are the same?
The same? 0.
How many share similar characteristics?
Yeah, very. Yes,
So
yes,
it's like
yes. The success leaves clues.
Same, but different.
Same, but yeah. But I think
like nobody's the same, but
Right.
but there's processes and there's tried and true methods and approaches and
there's like, to me, the best way of thinking about it is like there's still early and late. Everybody has an early and has a late. So it's identifying what your early is and what your late is and what triggers those things. And that's where I feel like good hitters can navigate the early late really, really well and really quickly. You know, I never realized when I was an amateur hitter, I mean, it was very different when we were coming up, but it was like, I just remember like, I was never going to get beat was probably the one thing that I was thinking about. And strikeouts were not an option for my dad. Yeah. Like, it was literally that simple. Like, my stuff, I was open. You guys saw the high school video. Like, I was open. I was all over the place at times, but it was like, I'm not going to get beat. Like, I'm not going to be late, and striking out's not an option. So, like, the ball's getting put in play. First good one I want to hit, like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm not waiting around.
In our generation,
that was it.
We weren't allowed to not learn timing. It's funny you mentioned that, and this is the first time I've ever thought about it like this. Like, if you were late to fastballs, or if you swung and missed, shorten up, foot down early. Right? Like, we weren't allowed to be late.
Yeah.
And there's always a swing part of it.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Correct.
We understood the idea of time.
Correct. But that's why, like,
I get that.
I think now, like, everybody works on swing so much, so you work on path and all this stuff. Like, you don't build the concept of timing now. You build the concept of swing, and then how does timing apply to it? Which is a way. It's like I'm gonna take that one and run with it for a little while. That's gonna be like the next couple weeks.
I think that, like I said, I think hitting is always to a degree, right, reacting to pitching. But I think that there's a space where, like, we can prioritize more and better contact. It's my belief.
Well, it's
more and better contact.
The best hitters are also, they have the ability. Like Manny Ramirez, there's stories about showing a miss, and it's a lot of it's just understanding how you're being perceived, like seeing yourself through the pitcher's lens.
Sure.
And like, all right, I had this miss, and then like you see a guy, they
Literally
step
go like
out,
this.
they're like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that, and they're showing you the adjustment.
100%.
So can you?
Well, watch
But
him.
you can also do that and fake what you're doing, or you can
yeah.
deceive the pitchers are trying to deceive you. Why aren't we trying to deceive the pitcher? And that's
I should have a
high
guy
level.
today, just right here. I gotta pull it
I
open.
gotta get open.
Just kidding.
That's like a,
Shoot him.
No, that's a 300 level course set.
That's elite. That's elite. Well, it's like
It sucks you.
well, like when you watch guys on deck. I think that's like the thing. If I'm not breaking down something in between innings, if there's nothing I need to study, it's like the thing that I will lock in on is like I'm watching. Like I want to see what Jock does in between at bats. Like where is his, like I'm just trying to get as many, because I think for me it builds my Rolodex, and it gives me an opportunity to like kind of get a glimpse inside the process. You know, and I think that's also like you talk about the game. I guess the game within the game, like from a coaching perspective, that's part of the game within the game. It's like you get a sense of how guys tick, and then it's like you watch the at bat. Like, what is he trying to do? I don't know. It helps build the story.
It helps if when you develop your own skill of intent,
Yeah.
you can start to read people better.
Yeah.
And it applies everywhere.
Yeah.
You can go out and play shortstop
Yep.
and read guys' swings. You can go play the outfield and read the swings. And
100%.
so I think why catchers are often great managers,
It's just
because they're so ingrained in that matchup,
100%.
and they can read the field and they can
100%.
anticipate best.
Yes, anticipate. And I think that word, like, I try and use as much as I can in our meetings. Like, I use anticipate a lot, because I think like that's what the game is. It's putting as you know, like the calculated misses, the gamble. You're anticipating something. It's not a guess. And I love when sometimes you go like, oh man, like. I was guessing. No, you weren't. You were anticipating. Change the link, like change the verbiage. Don't give yourself more credit than I was guessing. It was a pretty damn good guess, wasn't it? Like, anticipate. Guessing is
out. If you're selling out,
For
you're
me.
100% committed
Like,
to one thing.
yeah, that's
there's
a guess.
there's a time and a place for that.
80% of the time I knew it was coming. Because if you pay attention, you'll know what's coming
Yeah.
80% of the time. Or at least
good sense.
you'll have an idea of
It'll take
speed.
it takes a 39.
not know if it's a sink or cut or whatever.
It takes a 39% breaking ball and makes it an 80% breaking ball.
Right.
And if you're trying to stack the deck and you're trying to play to your
All
odds,
runners in scoring position. Yeah, sit on it.
Yep.
I'm with you.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to Pelotero so you'll be the first to know when Pelotero puts out new player intelligence content.